Tonight's story is one that has shaken an entire community and sparked heated conversations across borders. It begins with a single abandoned car on the outskirts of Doha, Qatar, and ends with a chain of events that leaves a family demanding answers and friends fighting for justice. The mystery surrounding Yu's tragic fate has not only exposed layers of secrecy, but also opened a deeper debate about accountability, security, and the value of a human life. The discovery was made early in the morning when a local resident noticed an unfamiliar sedan parked near a construction site. Qatar is known for its strict security measures and high surveillance standards, so an abandoned vehicle instantly drew concern. What alarmed authorities even more was the bag found inside the trunk, a bag that would soon reveal the unimaginable. When investigators opened it, they found the lifeless body of Yu, a young woman whose warm personality had touched many people around her. Her disappearance had been reported 2 days prior, but no one expected the story to take such a heartbreaking turn. The news spread rapidly, not just within the expatriate community but globally as well. Yu had worked in Qatar for almost a year, pursuing new opportunities and supporting her family back home. Friends described her as cheerful, determined, and always willing to lend a hand. So when she suddenly went missing, panic set in immediately. Her friends contacted the police, her workplace, and even foreign embassy representatives in hopes of finding her quickly. The moment authorities confirmed that the body belonged to Yu, the case shifted from a missing person investigation into a potential criminal inquiry. Qatar's law enforcement agencies responded swiftly, deploying special units to trace the car's ownership, analyze surveillance footage, and reconstruct Yu's last known movements. Their actions were immediate and forceful, signaling that the incident would not be taken lightly. But even with the rapid response, the emotional shock experienced by Yu's family was overwhelming. They had been clinging to hope, believing that perhaps she had been detained accidentally or had encountered a non-fatal incident. Receiving confirmation that she had been found under such disturbing circumstances shattered them completely. Her mother, speaking through tears during a virtual press briefing, questioned how such a tragedy could happen in a place that prided itself on safety and security. Her father, who had been preparing documents to travel to Qatar, was suddenly pushed into a storm of grief he wasn't prepared to confront. Their heartbreak immediately went viral, turning Yu's name into a rallying cry for justice. Yu's friends, many of whom lived in the same district, organized a peaceful gathering to honor her memory. They lit candles, placed flowers, and shared stories about her kindness. But beneath the grief was an unmistakable tone of anger. Anger at the circumstances, at the unknowns, and at the fact that someone like you could vanish and reappear only in tragedy. Meanwhile, investigators intensified their efforts. They traced the abandoned car to a rental company and discovered it had been booked under an alias, clearly suggesting premeditation. Surveillance footage from nearby roads showed the vehicle traveling late at night with an unidentified figure behind the wheel. The person's face was hidden under a hood, complicating identification. Authorities also reviewed Yu's phone records, uncovering a series of messages from a number not saved in her contacts. These communications seemed tense and urgent, hinting that Yu may have been interacting with someone she either didn't completely trust or didn't know well. The final message sent from her phone appeared around the time she disappeared, but it offered no direct clue. This new evidence prompted a broader investigation into Yu's social circle, workplace, and recent activities. Investigators began interviewing co-workers, acquaintances, and even individuals who had met her casually. The goal was to uncover who might have wanted to harm her, or who may have been the last person to see her alive. As more details surfaced, pressure on Qatari authorities intensified. Social media campaigns, many led by Yu's friends, began trending internationally. They demanded transparency, accountability, and swift justice. Hashtags calling for answers spread across multiple platforms, amplifying the emotional weight of the case. In response to mounting pressure, Qatar's Ministry of Interior released a brief statement confirming that an active investigation was underway. The statement emphasized that all resources were being mobilized to solve the case and ensure the safety of residents and expatriates alike. However, the family felt the statement lacked the emotional acknowledgement they desperately needed. As days passed, speculation grew. Some believed Yu had been targeted by someone she knew. Others suggested she may have been in the wrong place at the wrong time. And a few pointed fingers at potential systemic issues, arguing that not enough was done when she was first reported missing. Commentators and community leaders began discussing the case on local radio shows and online forums. The disappearance and tragic discovery were no longer viewed as an isolated incident, but as a symbol of broader concerns related to migrant safety, mental health, social isolation, and the vulnerabilities faced by foreign workers. The mystery deepened when investigators found fingerprints inside the car that did not match Yu's. This was the breakthrough the team needed, and soon they began mapping out individuals connected to the vehicle's rental history. One name repeatedly surfaced, a man with a record of minor offenses who had recently left Qatar. This discovery set off a diplomatic chain of actions, involving cooperation between authorities across multiple countries. While the suspect's identity was still not fully confirmed, the pattern of evidence suggested that he may have been one of the last individuals in contact with Yu. The pursuit grew more urgent. Despite the progress, Yu's family felt distressed by the slow pace of updates. They held another press conference, urging authorities to provide clearer timelines and ensure that the investigation did not stall. Their frustration resonated with the public, again fueling online discussions and emotional reactions. Yu's friends shared messages of grief and anger, describing how her absence left a void in their daily lives. They emphasized how she had been the glue that held their social circle together, always organizing small gatherings and offering support during tough times. Losing someone like her felt unbearable. Amid the chaos, some community members raised concerns about misinformation circulating online. Rumors and exaggerated claims were spreading rapidly, complicating the investigation and creating confusion. Responsible journalists began stepping in to clarify the facts and remind the public of the importance of accuracy. Still, the central question remained unanswered. Who was responsible for Yu's death and why? Every new piece of evidence seemed to raise more questions than answers. The car, the mysterious messages, the abandoned bag, all pointed toward a calculated act, but nothing yet provided a definitive motive. Meanwhile, Qatar intensified its crackdown on illegal activities and suspicious behavior, announcing new measures aimed at preventing similar incidents. Increased patrols, upgraded surveillance systems, and stricter monitoring of vehicle rentals were introduced in response to public concern. These measures were welcomed by some, but criticized by others who believed they diverted attention away from the investigation itself. Yu's case had become a symbol not just of personal tragedy, but of broader systemic issues that many felt needed to be addressed openly and urgently. Yu's workplace organized a memorial service for her, attended by colleagues from across departments. They spoke about her dedication, her friendly demeanor, and her habit of leaving a positive impression on everyone she met. The emotional impact of her loss was palpable in every corner of the room. International communities in Qatar, particularly those from Yu's home country, formed support networks to help each other cope with grief and fear. They encouraged one another to remain vigilant, report suspicious activity, and stay connected as a way to protect themselves. Authorities eventually released a preliminary report summarizing the evidence gathered so far. While they could not publicly name a suspect, they confirmed that the investigation was progressing and that additional leads were being pursued. The report offered some reassurance but left many yearning for closure. As the days turned into weeks, the case began to shift from an active search for answers into a broader conversation about justice. Yu's name continued to trend online, not because people enjoyed discussing the tragedy, but because they refused to let her story fade into silence. Her family, still grappling with grief, announced the creation of a foundation in her honor. Its purpose would be to support expatriate workers facing crises, raise awareness about safety issues, and offer emotional assistance to families in distress. It was a way to transform pain into purpose. Friends continued to organize weekly gatherings, not to mourn but to celebrate Yu's life. They shared stories, laughed through tears, and reminded each other of the joy she brought into their lives. Even in her absence, she had managed to inspire unity and strength. Community leaders urged authorities to maintain transparency and prioritize communication. They argued that families deserve timely updates, clear explanations, and empathetic support. Yu's case highlighted how essential these practices were in moments of crisis. Eventually, the investigation reached a critical turning point. Authorities located new footage of the suspect at a gas station near the site where the car was abandoned. Though the footage was grainy, it confirmed that the suspect had acted alone and had attempted to avoid security cameras. This new evidence brought renewed energy to the investigative team. With international cooperation and improved tracking, they were finally closing in on the suspect's whereabouts. For Yu's family and friends, this development brought a glimmer of hope that justice might be within reach. But even with progress, unanswered questions lingered in the air. What exactly happened during Yu's final moments? Why was she targeted? And what drove the suspect to commit such a cruel act? These questions continued to haunt everyone connected to the case. Today, Yu's story stands as a solemn reminder of how fragile life is and how important it is to protect one another. It also highlights the need for compassionate systems that respond quickly, communicate openly, and prioritize the well-being of every individual. As we wait for the final outcome of the investigation, one thing remains clear: Yu's memory will not be forgotten. Her family's determination, her friends' loyalty, and the community's collective voice ensure that the fight for justice continues. And through that fight, Yu's spirit lives on, inspiring courage, unity, and hope.